Monday, Tuesday. Hindi ka pwede Tuesday.
Peru is our country, a place that we love and we are very proud of. It is also a place where we want to change many things, such as machismo, racism, homophobia, and transphobia.
"71% of Peruvians recognize that LGBTQ people are the most vulnerable in the country. 3 out of 10 Peruvians would not hire a gay. 4 out of 10 Peruvians would not hire a trans person. Just 4% of trans folks have a job. 69% of LGBTQ people indicate that they have suffered violence and discrimination throughout their lives. Buenos días, bienvenidas y bienvenidos y bienvenides. Este taller será en español y en inglés. Good morning. Thank you for coming today and welcome. Please don't forget to silence your microphone. My name is Gabriel de la Cruz. I am the founder and director of Presente. Presente is a non-profit organization based in Peru. I'm very proud to be here with my colleagues. And we created Presente, this non-profit organization dedicated to incorporated LGBTQ diversity in organizations and schools because they are what is happening in my country. Because the data that I shared with you at the beginning, we decided to start a change in our country, and we need to do that. I want to now introduce my family. This is Ross, my husband, and Meche in the middle, our little daughter. Our dream was to get married in Peru and build a life in that country. Sadly, in Peru, we don't have that law. And to illustrate the dearth of support for LGBTQ rights, 82% of participants in the 2017 survey were opposed to marriage equality for couples of the same gender, and only 13% expressed their support. So last year, we decided to move to the USA. We got married in January, and now we are living in Texas. For that reason, I am just not gay here. I am also part of the Latin community. I am very proud for that. But now, as an immigrant, I am learning how to face this new challenge. But this happens to everybody, right? Our identity is changing when we discover or accept ourselves. Our identity sometimes is changing in every step or in every decision that we are taking in our lives. When we get married, if we decide to be parents, if we get divorced, if we are sick, all the times our lives are changing. And I'm sure that you working in diversity and inclusion is the way that you found to make people's challenges easier. But working in inclusion and diversity is also a challenge by itself, because we question the status quo all the time. We question people's beliefs and opinions because you are introducing new concepts in your company. Now, you are talking about sexual orientation, gender identity, you are talking about queer people, trans people, non-binary folks. You are using an inclusive language, and thank you for that. And you have a personal commitment with our community. But it's probably that not all the employees in the company are happy with that new ideas that you are bringing to the organization. It's probably that not all your customers are happy when you celebrate Pride Month. It's probably that not all the leaders in the company are our allies. And of course, this is not easy because you are working with people's greatest vulnerability, their fears and beliefs. I'm sure everybody in this session advocates for LGBTQ rights in workplace in a difficult context, like us in Peru. And I am sure you also have a lot of challenges or stories, how we call this, of fails. So I am here to ask you, do you have any story of failure incorporating LGBTQ inclusion in your company? I want to invite you as a corporate leader to embrace your vulnerability and share with us your story. So for that, I want to use a Google survey, as maybe of the majority of you are very familiar, probably. As you can see on the screen, there is a web page and a QR code. You can open your camera and have it over the QR, or you can open a new browser window on your computer or your phone and type bit.ly/embrace our own vulnerability. bit.ly/embrace our own vulnerability. This is totally anonymous, and I will share a few stories.
What'd you say?
At the end of the session.
I said I can't even bother my boss about this. The vice president.
Today I am so pleased. I'm so pleased.
Yeah, I wouldn't even get
I think, yeah, thank you. Today, I'm so pleased to introduce y'all to my friends and colleagues, Baldo, Cynthia, Lorena, and Alejandra. They are also Peruvian and corporate leaders from 4 of the most important companies in the country. They took the risk that I am inviting you to take. They took the risk and they accepted to come here to speak from the most uncomfortable place. Their failures and bad decisions maybe when implementing inclusion and diversity policies, projects, and or campaigns for the LGBTIQ community. We will talk today about our failures, challenge, and our learning lessons. With this information, also, we created a document. This document with recommendations for leading LGBTQ projects in adverse contexts. The document will be available to download at the end of the workshop. So at the end of the workshop, you could download this document, and it's in English and also in Spanish if you want to share with colleagues in Latin America or Spain. So the first case that I want to introduce to y'all. My first case comes from Conecta, and my first guest is Baldo Zapata. Baldo is a head of communication, culture, and social responsibility of Conecta Peru. His presentation will be in Spanish, but you can read the bullet points in English in this presentation. Gracias por estar aquí, Baldo. Bienvenido. Buenos días. Gracias por acompañarnos y te dejo a continuación el micrófono para tu presentación.
Gracias, querido Gabo, por esta invitación, este espacio tan lindo, tan rico de poder compartir con todos, todas y todes a nivel mundial. Estoy muy emocionado de participar en esta plataforma y que se sepa y que se conozca todo lo que en Perú venimos trabajando con aliados tan importantes como tú, como Presente y las organizaciones que hoy estamos aquí para mostrar estos avances. Mil gracias. Conecta Perú es una empresa de capitales españoles, tiene presencia en 6 países de Latinoamérica. En Perú está hace 10 años trabajando y nosotros nos definimos como un Perú en chiquito, un Perú en pequeño, por la diversidad que nosotros somos. Somos más de 15.000 colaboradores y colaboradoras en 4 regiones del país. Nuestro ADN es ser inclusivos, diversos, equitativos e innovadores. Esto es lo que nosotros somos y lo que reflejamos en Conecta Perú. Nosotros empezamos a trabajar, el primer programa de diversidad e inclusión incluye al año siguiente de iniciar operaciones en Perú. Llevamos 9 años trabajando este programa. Empezamos con la población de personas con discapacidad. Este programa busca empoderar, hacer empleables, insertar laboralmente y acompañar en el crecimiento personal y profesional a las personas en situación de vulnerabilidad. Empezamos con las personas con discapacidad y al 2021 tenemos 6 poblaciones. Personas de bajos recursos económicos, la comunidad LGBTIQ+, adultos mayores de 50 años, mujeres víctimas de violencia y trata e inmigrantes. Son 6 poblaciones que nosotros abordamos desde el programa. Haciendo foco a la comunidad LGBTIQ+, nosotros en el 2012 ya habíamos iniciado este proceso de sensibilización, de trabajo, pero con las poblaciones de discapacidad y bajos recursos. Decidimos ir avanzando con la comunidad LGBTIQ+, por nuestra población en la compañía, y empezamos con acciones como extender los beneficios que ya teníamos, como la licencia de matrimonio, el photocheck social para la comunidad trans. Y un beneficio que nos traía siempre en mente era, y desde el 2014, por esos años, los baños. En un primer momento, nosotros en nuestro desconocimiento decíamos, vamos a crear un tercer baño para las personas trans, para que no haya ningún inconveniente con el resto de colaboradores. Sin embargo, en 2017 tomamos la decisión de poder no desarrollar un tercer baño, sino incluir a todos y todas dentro de los baños para hombres y para mujeres que ya tenemos. Y nosotros tomamos la decisión, avanzamos y decidimos plotear, impactar las puertas de los baños, dando mensajes que ahora los vamos a ver, potentes de inclusión. Como por ejemplo, toda persona que se identifique como mujer es bienvenida a este baño. Y en las letras pequeñas dice si eres afro, si eres persona con discapacidad, si eres lesbiana, si eres trans, si eres inmigrante, eres bienvenida a este baño. Entonces, esto nosotros decidimos colocarlo y nos fuimos con todo, como decimos en Perú. Bueno, lo hacemos y nos vamos. Y nos fuimos. Pero esta experiencia también en nuestro desconocimiento y en nuestras ganas de seguir haciendo acciones y no dejar de lado a las personas LGBTIQ+. De hecho, yo soy una persona LGBTIQ+, yo soy gay y entonces yo, como decía Gabriel, soy un propulsor junto con nuestra CEO de que estas acciones se vayan dando. Sin embargo, en este camino hubo consecuencias de este acto. Tuvimos haters. Entonces, estos detractores internos los tuvimos a la hora que vieron las puertas impactadas de los baños. En las redes sociales subieron comentarios y lo que decían es, Conecta está promoviendo la ideología de género, la mal llamada ideología de género que en Perú denominan al enfoque de equidad de género como realmente se debe denominar. Y claro, nosotros, la primera reacción que tuvimos fue asustarnos, al punto de decir, seguimos, no seguimos, tuvimos pánico en ese momento. todos los que estamos involucrados en este proceso de sensibilización y de trabajo de acciones en materia de D&A. Y nuestra CEO nos dijo, hay que consultar con los especialistas. Y es ahí que le toqué la puerta a Gabriel de la Cruz, de presente. Creo que estuvimos como 1 hora conversando. Él fue mi catarsis y él nos ayudó presente en poder seguir teniendo otras acciones para lo avanzado, mejorarlo, ¿no? Entonces es ahí donde nosotros decidimos no claudicar. Ya hemos tomado la decisión y lo que nos queda es avanzar. Avanzar no solo con los baños inclusivos, sino con más de 13 beneficios que a la fecha hemos desarrollado para la comunidad LGBTIQ+, como el seguro para las parejas LGBTIQ+, y beneficios también para las familias homoparentales, entre otros beneficios que tenemos dentro de la compañía. Pero volviendo al punto que les mencionaba de esta experiencia, esto nos trajo lecciones aprendidas, lecciones para nosotros tener en cuenta en los siguientes beneficios, en las siguientes acciones que vayamos a desarrollar. Una de ellas es desarrollar un proceso de sensibilización integral. Ya nosotros hacíamos sensibilizaciones como charlas, talleres ad hoc, sin embargo, eran periódicas, sí, pero eran puntuales, y decidimos hacer una sensibilización integral que abarca que desde el proceso de inducción, desde el día 1 del nuevo y nueva colaboradora, para que tengan toda la experiencia de diversidad e inclusión que vivimos y desarrollamos en Conecta Perú. Desarrollar cursos online que los puedan tener en el celular, en la PC, todos los colaboradores y colaboradoras, y que los lleven en todo momento y que tengan herramientas para que ellos también se puedan educar y sensibilizar. Si queremos tener agentes de cambio, tenemos que darles las herramientas, y es por eso que hemos desarrollado 5 cursos de diversidad e inclusión, conceptos de diversidad e inclusión, diversidad LGTBIQ+, diversidad cultural, diversidad generacional, diversidad personas con discapacidad y diversidad de género. Entonces, todos estos cursos están a disposición de todo nuestro personal. Y esta sensibilización abarca desde la CEO hasta todos los colaboradores y colaboradoras. Tenemos un comité de diversidad e inclusión que constantemente está revisando todas estas acciones que trabajamos. El plan de comunicación es clave. Somos 15.000 personas en el Perú, en nuestra compañía, en 4 regiones. Cualquier acción y cualquier práctica es un reto en todo momento para nosotros. Y es por eso que decidimos tener un plan de comunicación con voceros, con voceras que puedan afrontar cualquier crisis venidera, que tengamos un Q&A que permita a las personas que van a estar frente a esta crisis estar preparados y puedan tener material para que demos respuesta a detractores internos o externos también, ¿no? Entonces, esto nos permitió desarrollar este plan de comunicación robusto que hoy en día lo tenemos y lo revisamos y actualizamos. Asimismo, crear los embajadores de la inclusión. Hoy por hoy tenemos 35 embajadores, que están en cada una de las sedes, que ellos son el nexo, estos voceros y voceras que llegan y pueden activar todas las acciones en materia de inclusión que trabajamos en la compañía. Ellos recogen las necesidades de los colaboradores y colaboradoras, nos reunimos mensualmente y, por ejemplo, acabamos de hacer el censo LGBTIQ+ en Conecta. Nosotros teníamos mapeadas en los 35 embajadores una cantidad de aliados, y ahora tenemos más de 200 personas LGBTIQ+ en la compañía que de forma no anónima han dicho, yo me identifico, soy una persona LGBTIQ+, hemos recogido estas necesidades y ahora también vamos a tomar acción con ello. Y esto nos permite, a través de todas las ideas que los embajadores de la inclusión nos brindan, focus, entrevistas, para poder recoger estas necesidades, estas experiencias y poder también tomar acción desde la compañía y que sientan que el clima donde viven es un clima que es igual para todos y todas, en igualdad de derechos y oportunidades. Eso es lo que buscamos. Y lo que les comentaba y me adelanté del censo, que todas estas acciones nos han llevado a tener a materializar estas ideas y estas necesidades de los colaboradores y colaboradoras en acciones. Ya hemos desarrollado el censo con estos 13 beneficios que les comentaba y ahora sigue más, porque el proceso es constante. No es que hoy estoy aquí y mañana acabé el proceso. Estamos en un país altamente machista, con una cultura patriarcal, y estas acciones es lo que buscan impactar en nuestros colaboradores. Y finalmente, porque ya estoy con el tiempo, este trabajo nos ha permitido a Conecta obtener reconocimientos a nivel local y a nivel internacional. Ser uno de los mejores lugares para trabajar, según Great Place to Work. Somos el primer lugar en equidad en Perú y Latinoamérica por Aequales. Somos uno de los mejores lugares para el talento LGBTIQ+, por Presente. Somos uno de los mejores lugares para inclusión a nivel iberoamericano por la Organización Iberoamericana de Seguridad Social, entre otros reconocimientos muy importantes. Estos reconocimientos los mostramos para visibilizar las buenas prácticas que desde la compañía venimos haciendo para que otras compañías también empiecen el camino, y si ya lo empezaron, que cojan nuestra experiencia para que ellos sigan desarrollando acciones. Y siempre digo que el mejor y mayor reconocimiento es que las personas en su diversidad puedan lograr ser agentes de cambio y que se sientan con igualdad de derechos y oportunidades en todo momento. Gabo, mil gracias por el espacio, a todo el público que hoy nos ha venido a escuchar. Gracias por estar muy atentos y atentas. Aquí estoy viendo los comentarios que no paran, y eso a mí me da mucha alegría. A su disposición en todo momento. Gracias nuevamente.
Gracias, Baldo. Thank you so much, Baldo. And it's very interesting, right? How an amazing project about developing trans-inclusive bathroom started a huge crisis in Conecta. In Conecta social media, but also in Conecta human resources, because who started the crisis in social media was their own employees. And that's very important why Baldo shared with us all these learning lessons about his own personal experience as a corporate leader, trying to be more inclusive in a very difficult context as is Peru for us. So thank you, Baldo. And my second guest, my second friend and guest and colleague is Cynthia Sanchez. Cynthia is the director of People and Culture in Peru and Chile at Manpower Group. Welcome, Cynthia.
At Manpower Group, we promote a culture of diversity and inclusion based on respect for all, aligned to our purpose to transform lives. We value the talent above labels, and we demonstrate it with actions. We accompany in the LGBTQI+ Pride March. We promote safe and inclusive spaces and the use of inclusive language. We conduct annual censuses. We have policies, benefits, procedures, and we created the Pride community. And although we have great acceptance, we also had obstacles.
Hello, everyone. My pleasure to meet you and connect throughout this medium. My name is Cynthia Sanchez. I am Director of People and Culture for Manpower Group Peru and Chile, which, as you know, is an American company with a global presence. In addition to this role, I have many others that I would like to share with you about in order to humanize the person who is talking to you today. I am a mom. I have 2 children of 4 and 1 years old. I am married to an epidemiologist, so you can imagine how we are in the house of a pandemic girl. I like art and I like to dance flamenco in my spare time. And also, I am a pro ally of the community LGBT. As you could see in the video, Manpower Group is a company that has a main pillars of the organizational culture. diversity and inclusion that also make us promote our employee brand. At the country level, we are having to implement a series of action that, as you saw in the video, we have been working on since 2017 with a lot of commitment and conviction. We have a great results that have made us probably deserving of the present seal as the 7th company in the top 20 of the best companies to work for LGBT community in Peru. And we are also one of the top 5 trans inclusive companies. Has the road been easy? Certainly, I could tell you today that, yeah?
Sorry?
Sorry, I could tell you today that it's a long road and that this has not always been easy. Besides, the law in our country do not always support us. However, we are convinced that what we do is the right thing to do. We seek to be an agent of change that has a positive impact on the organization, but that also has an impact on society because every one of our employers matters and counts. That's why today I would like to share with you 5 tips for us to continue working toward achievement, equal opportunities, and rights for the LGBT community, to make them visible and to make it so that at some points we can stop talking about this as a problem, but as a reality. Ethics and values are not negotiable. Let's become real with what we believe and let's say it loud and clear. We are remarkables and must be visible. Diversity is the key. Let us respect each our identities. Don't make assumptions. Let's generate a culture of constant learning. Knowledge gives us understanding, awareness, and make us free. Be clear and give respect. We all have the same rights. Let's make every voice count. And enjoy the process. It may be hard at times. Remember that true work is not our work, but it's the footprint we leave. Finally, I would like to tell you what is the purpose of our organization: to transform lives. And certainly, when you think about it, it is aligned with the world of work and human resources, because that is why we are dedicated. However, our purpose is even greater. We want each person to shine with our own light for their talent and what they represent, and not for the labels they may have, because everything for us is humanly possible. Thank you very much for your time and for being here with us. Thank you, Gabo.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for being here and to share your experience and also learning lessons. Now, my third guest is Lorena Divos. She's the Human Management Manager at Cencosud, Peru. Lorena has a lot of learning experiences because she started celebrating the Pride Month like a lot of years ago in her last company when we didn't even know about the business case in Peru. In that time, just to figure out what was happening in my country, we was debating about the equal marriage equality law. That debate was very important because everybody had an opinion about if LGBTQ rights are a possibility in our country. And I remember one journalist called me once and asked me if I know somebody or some couple that could be in the portrait on that very popular magazine. I called everybody, all my friends, and everybody answered me the same. I'm sorry, I cannot do that because I am in the closet in my job. I am in the closet with my family. So in that moment, we didn't have that portrait. And for now, we don't have a marriage equality either for now in Peru. So that's the context. And now I want to introduce Lorena Divos, who she's coming and to share about one experience when another leader of the company was the detractor or opposed to LGBTQ rights in her company. Welcome, Lorena. Bienvenida, Lorena, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Gabo. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Lorena. I am the CHRO of Cencosud in Peru. We are one of the biggest retailers in the region with more than 10,000 employees in 100 stores around the country. I have worked in HR all of my life. That would be more than 20 years now, and started to work in diversity, equity, and inclusion about 6 years ago. But I have to say this disclaimer, I have been a feminist and an ally all of my life, of course. But here in Peru, we started working really into diversity, equity, and inclusion about 6-7 years ago, and I was part of the companies, like Gabo said, that started working really early about all these important matters, of course. And well, Peru is very third world country. We're very old-fashioned. We're very religious. Peru is very traditional. Our families, our society, our communities are very, very traditional, no? And we have a lot of machismo, which is like male dominance and sexism, no, around our culture. We also have many unconscious biases and cultural patterns and political silence in all of these matters that needs to change, of course, and urgently. And well, in this path, I believe we, the private sector, and we, the citizens of Peru, have a great deal of work to do. We can't expect much from the government in the short or in the middle term. So basically, it's up to us to do the heavy work on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And well, before COVID, some years ago, it was 2017, we started working really loud and clear about LGBTIQ inclusion in the place I was working in that moment. We have been working on inclusion of many other dimensions, like the inclusion of people with disabilities, gender equity, generational diversity, cultural and ethnic diversity, and so on. Like in that moment, I think the States, you were talking about intersectionality, and I don't think you work these dimensions that we work as a separate single dimension, like women or LGBT or generations, no, or racism. No, you now, I admire this, no, you now work in intersectionality, no, which is us, it's more real, it's more human, no, we are an intersection of things. I'm a Latina, I'm a woman, no, and well, we're not there yet, no, so we are working in these big dimensions separately right now. And well, at that time, 2017, in the company I was in that moment, I felt it was time, no, to really focus on LGBT inclusion. And we have been working about sensibilization, no, and diversity in general, no, and inclusion of this vision of equity, no, and gender inclusion, no. So we started to put these subjects and these themes, no, regarding LGBT inclusion on the table, and starting these conversations, no, and workshops and focus groups and everything, no? And of course, we wanted to go as a company to the Pride Parade in Peru. Well, we were about to celebrate the whole month with many activities, you know, a communication campaign, training sessions, forums. We had a beautiful like decoration and gifts, no, like pencils, pins, notebooks, no. We had a Pride breakfast, no. We had everything ready for the start of the month, and the office was a rainbow. No, we launched our new benefits for the LGBTQ community. It was our first year celebrating Pride Month, and it actually was the start of a beautiful tradition in the company that lasts until today. No, this celebration it's a big thing, no, for us, no, now, but it wasn't the case in 2017. Well, one of the top managers. I want to see the comments. Sorry. Yeah, perfect. Well, one of the top managers, when he got to his office, and it was a rainbow, of course, we really went all the way and got really carried on by it. He also saw that his whole department, a very male-dominant department, most of the people come from the STEAM careers that here are very male-dominant. Well, this department, like the whole office, was heavily decorated for the occasion. He almost had a heart attack. No, people were starting talking, and he came down running to my office, and saying that he could not work with all this gayness around him, no, nor could his people, no, that this needed to come off like right now. No, clearly my objective in life is not, sorry, and he also was very worried about my motives, no, personally. He was asking if I wanted to turn them all gay, if I wanted to turn the world gay. No, and my response was that clearly my objective in life is not to turn everybody I work with gay, no, but I do have the goal to turn the places I work in diverse, equal, and inclusive spaces where we can all be ourselves and grow and make significant relationships with others and collect wonderful memories while we use all of our potential and optimize ourselves. No, that's what I want to do, not turn people gay. Well, and he actually said that I did not need to worry and that he had everything under control. No, and I was like, oh, like, and he was like really happy about this solution he had come up with, no. And he said that in order for his people not to panic, he had told them that all the decoration was because of the Incan celebration of the Inti Raymi, which is a fest that celebrates the sun. And it happens to be in June as well. And this celebration also happens to have a rainbow flag. No, so he was like, oh, Lorena, we're so lucky. I got creative and distracted them. No, so now I have this plan, and you have to cooperate with me for this plan to work. Now we have to change everything. No, and not talk about LGBTQ rights and all this nonsense. No, we just have to say it's because of the Inti Raymi, no, and turn this into like an Incan culture celebration. No. I was sitting there listening to this guy talk, looking at me like he just discovered like the biggest solution on this world, and probably thinking I should promote him or something. No, and I couldn't believe the situation. First, I told him that he was fooling no one with this Inca party solution, and started the tolerance and acceptance speech. Took out the business case for diversity, equity, and inclusion, showing him with numbers that this work helps the company as much as it builds a great place to work for everybody. No, I showed him how this work was aligned with our strategy, no, to be a great company filled with great people, to innovate, to disrupt ourselves, to transform our company. No. And then he took out the religion part. He said, I'm so Catholic, and he's a very Catholic person. And according to him, all of this LGBT is a fashion and it goes against his religious beliefs. No, so I was entering like a personal statement. No, and some months ago, before this moment where we're having this conversation in my office, some months ago, something very tragic happened in our company. There was a woman in the company who loved to do trekking in the Andes mountains. She, a couple of months earlier, had an accident while doing her sport, and this was very sad for us. She passed away. We as a company did a celebration to say goodbye to her, no? And she was very Catholic, no? And she and this leader, they were very close in their religion, no? And well, the ceremony obviously was Catholic, and everybody was invited, and he participated with many other people, no? And I love that as a person, no? And in my work, no? And at that point, I had measured how many people in the company were Catholic, Jewish, Buddhist, atheist. Actually, the biggest religion of the company in that moment was I have no religion, no? And well, I had this information, like the census that Baldo was commenting about as well. No, we also did that, no, to know our people. I have to know the people I work with, no, not just in one-to-one meetings, but also in numbers. Like I've worked in retail like the past 10 years, so it's big, 18,000 people, 13,000 people. So you need to know who you're working with, no. And so with this data, I told him to remember this religious ceremony that we did for this person, no? And showed him, not names obviously, but showed him that most of the people in the company have other religions and they have other beliefs. And not one of them complained when they saw that we did this ceremony for her, because they knew that she was Catholic and it was the correct way to celebrate her life and to say goodbye to her, no? No one said, you're trying to turn me Catholic, no? This goes against my beliefs, no? What are you trying to do, Lorena? No one said that, not a word, no? And I told him, no, if everyone can tolerate and accept a Catholic ceremony sponsored by the company in honor of one of our co-workers, how can we not tolerate a beautiful and happy decoration that reminds us that we accept, embrace, and celebrate the LGBT community, no? That we are a family and we are all different, but this is a safe space for us to be like really us, no? And if people have different beliefs, like it doesn't matter. Like we are here, we are a family, we belong together, no? And this is what this is all about. This conversation changed him. He changed right there. I think obviously where I work and now we're so many people and you can't have this one-on-one conversation with everybody, no? But I think a lesson was making it personal and connecting with your detractors, no? In a level where they can actually empathize with the situation, no? This changed everything, no? That was a big lesson for me. Make it personal. Also use data. Always use data. No, don't be afraid and don't be afraid of these uncomfortable conversations. We need this conversation. The frictions will happen, no, in order for us to grow as a company and as a team, no, and it means that we're moving something, no, we're touching people. That same day, after I victoriously closed this conversation and felt like my work in this earth was done, the marketing team didn't want us to go to the Pride parade. No, they said that our brand couldn't stand like all the bad comments or criticisms. No, and they didn't want me to go. So that same day, I was like the best alien advocate. Then I had to go like in a meeting and defend that why we as a company should be in the Pride parade. And yes, my friends, that's how advanced we are as a country. I stood my ground and said that if we got any criticism, then we wouldn't go the next year, but we have to try it, no, and or not make diversity, equity, and inclusion a strategic priority. No, we can say we're inclusive if our actions don't show inclusion. No, and it was a good day. I was allowed to go as a company to the Pride parade, and it was a good thing. No, nobody criticized us. No, nobody threw like tomatoes at us. So. Well, in this case, another lesson learned was to do more lobby before launching something new, no, and to not expect people to be on the same level of inclusion as you are. No, sometimes you have to take time and explain the obvious. And well, thank you so much for your time and attention. What we're looking at right now is our diversity, equity, and inclusion like logo, no, and so everything that has this logo has to do with what we are working in that sense. And we have many dimensions, like I just said. We're working with people with disabilities, no, LGBT communities, no, against racism, against gender inequality, no, and here we're still growing, still learning. No, I learned from you from the States a lot, and thank you for leading the way. No, it's really easy for us to learn from you, to copy and adapt many of the things you come up with here. And well, hopefully I was interesting. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Of course, Lorena, thank you so much for sharing that experience. It's very, very interesting how you deal with that problem inside the company with another leaders, because we mostly the time we are thinking about how we could create our employees more involved into the LGBTIQ field. But what happened with our co-leaders, the people that are maybe the CEO or people that are leading teams? And what happened if they are against our projects? And what happened if they are against diversity and inclusion inside the company? That's a very huge fight, and thank you for that. So my last guest is Alejandra Segura. Alejandra is the Senior Diversity and Inclusion Executive at Telefónica Movistar. At the beginning of March 2020, so the last year before the pandemic, Movistar Telefónica launched the first TV commercial with a visible gay guy who introduced his father to his partner. After a few seconds of discomfort in this commercial, both are united by a passion for football. So let's watch the commercial and let's hear what happened after that commercial was in Peruvian TV, in Peruvian Open TV. So let's see the commercial now.
Pero escúchame, yo te mandé el trabajo. Hola, pa. Él es Francisco, mi novio. El chico del que te hablé. Un toque, ¿sí? Lucía, te juro que yo te lo mandé.
0 a 0 el marcador. Desde el fondo va a jugar el arquero. Pelota arriba, campo rival. Por derecho. Cuidado, el centro. ¡El área! ¡Ah, no! ¡Penal!
¿Penal? ¿Del Muni?
Para el Muni, sí.
¿Sí?
Manazo, no te pases.
La emoción nos une. Compártela con el contenido que Movistar tiene para ti. Movistar.
Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you so much. So sorry about the mask. I am in a public space, so I can't take it off. Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be with you today. My name is Alejandra Segura. I am a diversity and inclusion leader at Telefónica Movistar, as Gabriel said. This is one of the largest telecommunications company in Peru, with more than 100 years in the country. What we have just seen, as Gabriel said, it was probably one of the most famous commercials that we had in the history of Telefónica in Peru, with more than 2 million views in YouTube. Maybe some of you will wonder why the commercial was so famous. And for this, it's important to know that this commercial, launched in March of 2020, was the first TV spot on national television that made visible a gay couple without any kind of bad intention. Also, it's important to point out that at Telefónica, we have been working for more than 5 years on our diversity and inclusion program, especially in gender equity, the LGBT community, and also people with disabilities. If we review the date on which our TV spot was launched, you will remember that it was very close to the time when the pandemic began, something that was totally out of our plan or our crisis strategy. Here we are looking some of the headlines that appear in the local media within days of our launch, the spot in the TV. Titles like Movistar launch advertising with gay couple around Peruvian football. We like a lot that kind of titles. But then other headlines began to appear, that we didn't like so much. Message as people criticizing Movistar's pro-gay commercial, and even doing a collection of signatures was carried out by one of the most conservative group in Peru, where they asked us to take out our commercial of the air. It should be noted that as we were starting the pandemic, all the people began to watch more television than ever. Therefore, the commercial appeared everywhere at any time in the TV families in their houses. But in social media, as we are seeing in the screen, there were also negative reactions and comments. People said that it was a malicious ad, that there were many children at home, and that they shouldn't see that type of content, that we were promoting homosexuality, and that this commercial didn't show inclusion, but perversion. And here I want to clarify that the intention of our spot was always to normalize a fairly daily situation, which many of us have probably experienced. Who hasn't been nervous when we first met our boyfriend or our girlfriend's mom or dad? And it doesn't matter if we are homosexual or we are heterosexual couple. This feeling of nervousness is universal, and our advertising message was the difference do not matter, and that the content that like Peruvian football that Movistar transmits can bring people together. Fortunately, if you help me, Gabriel, with the next, there was another large group in Peruvian society that understood this message. We were able to see hundreds of positive reactions and messages of encouragement, toward our spot. They congratulate us, not for waiting until Pride Month, no, to make the community visible. They also highlight that as a company, we haven't been afraid to make this couple visible. People comment that it was the type of advertising that we need, and inclusive advertising without the need to exaggerate. No, even many Peruvian communicators and students highlight the responsibilities they had when transmitting positive message like this one. Great was our surprise when we realized that university researchers project had been developed around the spot, no, and the impact in Peruvian advertising. But beyond all the external positive or negative impact that the TV spot had, we realized that it was important to look at ourselves as a company and learn from these situations. As I mentioned previously, neither the advertising, communications, or human resources team imagined that this great launch was going to cross with a global event as the pandemic. No, so when the spot was already on the air and we realized that its visible was going to be much more than we expect, on the one hand, we feel very happy and very proud because we knew we were doing the right thing. But it's true that we also felt fear, no? And this made all the areas involved in the project more united than ever. We have prepared the institutional message and the responses that we gave in the social media. Many of these responses were supported by internal initiative that we already had in our country, in our company. And in addition, despite constant requests from this conservative group of the collection of signatures, our TV spot was on the air for approximately 1 month, which was the regular lifetime that we gave to our commercials. And it was kind of funny when the commercial stopped in the TV. This group claimed some kind of achievement or victory. However, we knew that the only thing that had happened was that the commercial had complete its cycle. So finally, I want to tell you that although it was a complex, hard experience, and in the middle of the environment where many unexpected things that we were happening, the whole team always felt totally proud of what we did because we believe in that message, no? We believe that through inclusive advertising, we can contribute to reduce those gaps that separate us. We can contribute to generate conversation and reflection. And above all, we can contribute to building a country that is ever closer to the rights of our LGBT community. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ale, for share your story and to make and to produce and to introduce our first TV commercial with an openly LGBTIQ people, because as we know, representations matter all the time, and that was very important for us. So thank you so much. And I want to read just 2 stories that you shared in this platform in Google. So for example, one of y'all said, every year my company posts internet material about Pride Month, and every year without fail, someone complains that we should keep it to ourselves. Where's our straight Pride Month? People ask us all the time, right? And another person is talking about a contractor came out to me as trans and in trying to assist her with her work transition. I was told that the entire female employee base needed to be informed so that they were in shock when this person started using the woman's restroom. So we have, of course, similar problems, and we are introducing and creating this workshop to you because we know that our experience, challenges, and failures could create something like as this research for that we want to share with everybody to know how to lead LGBTQ projects in adverse contexts. As Lorena said, we all the time are looking how USA are including their LGBTQ policies in the private sector, but we know that people in every part of the world are our allies or against our rights. So we have these challenges. We have similar fails mostly the time. But what I want to tell to everybody is that we are Peruvians, so we will continue working for a better future in our country. And Presente, my organization, will continue creating a strong network with company allies. Because the corporate leaders, I'm sure they will continue creating a safe place for their LGBTQ employees while we will be waiting for our government decision. So to finish this workshop, I just to tell to everybody, don't forget, your work can help people like me not have to leave their homeland or even their workplace to find freedom. Don't forget, even though working on LGBTQ inclusion can bring challenge and even failures, respecting human rights is always the right thing to do. I want to say also thank you so much, Out and Equal, for this great opportunity. Thank you so much, Baldo, Cynthia, Lorena, and Alejandra for being my guest today. Thank you everybody to come here. Thank you everybody for attending this workshop. And also we have these resources. You can see the resources in the platform, or you could go directly to presente.pe and you can download it in English or in Spanish. So thank you so much for being here again. Thank you so much for make this happen. Thank you so much for hear about Peruvian stories. And I hope we could see y'all again soon. So goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Bye. Have a great day.
The music, Peruvian music. Wait.
Thank you.
We done?